And can everyone see the slide in front of you?
Yes, I can.
We're going to go ahead. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Can everyone hear me okay? This is Eddie from CertiPro.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So again, thanks for being with us. And today's presenters are me, Eddie Diaz, I'm Director of Sales, along with Andy Teteyan. He's our president, and he's also a SAGE certified consultant. And we're going to be your host today. And today's agenda, just going to be looking at quickly who is CertiPro Solutions, and also solution benefits and overview, and solution demo, and then Q&A. And just let you know, throughout the webinar, feel free to just jump in with questions as we go along. There's no real, you don't have to wait to the end. A little bit about who CertiPro Solutions is. We are a SAGE development partner. We're based out of Los Angeles. We have developed 11 SAGE enhancements that add great value to our customers while making them more productive. So these enhancements are well received by our customers. We're going to be looking at the Advanced Distribution Suite today, encompassing Automated Inventory Cycle Count, Stock Availability by Date, Order Fulfillment Manager. And what's the three most important factors to a business who are manufacturers or distribution companies? Obviously, number one is accurate inventory, which our Automated Inventory Cycle Count touches on that. And customer service with accurate stock promises. Our Stock Availability by Date will cover that. And the execution of those promises, our Order Fulfillment Manager will cover that. And here's a listing of some of our Raving Fans. Here's some very large companies from some smaller companies. These enhancements are for any SAGE customer, any size, for SAGE 100 or SAGE 500. Okay, so Andy's going to be demoing three products, which are again in the suite of products. The first product we're going to be looking at is the Automated Inventory Cycle Count, and here's some of the highlights of the product. There's seamless integration with SAGE 100 ERP, physical inventory, and count card entry programs. It's a simple implementation with single screen setup, and our average implementation time is about 2 weeks, which is pretty good. Easy force counts to reconcile any disputes. Automated email notifications, supports multiple warehouses and multiple companies with different cycle count schedules, and manages inventory items life cycles. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll go ahead and continue to the next module, which he's going to be showing today. The Stock Availability by Date. It's basically a module that's going to help determine the availability by inventory by date. What if a customer calls in and does an urgent product request, and the customer service rep can't meet that need because they can't see what's ahead? So they'll go to a competitor. So you can see what's on PO, SO, work order, on hand by date to make accurate, capable to promises. It helps the purchasing department to easily see the future demand and plan for it. Inquiry window shows the maximum quantity of an item that could be immediately given the available inventory. The stock availability, Stock Availability by Date provides a salesperson with a quick assessment of what's available now and to see the true visibility of inventory and make capable of promises. And the third product he's going to be showing is the Order Fulfillment Manager, which is seamless integration between the front office and warehouse. That's the main point of the product that he's going to be showing. The warehouse managers can keep track of the orders that are in the queue while giving them the ability to reshuffle staff by giving a 360-degree view of demand. It gives the front office staff visibility to see the status of each ticket assigned to the assigned puller in case the ticket has to be pulled again and the order has to be changed. Supports multi-company and warehouse in a single queue screen, print, pick list, and assign to a puller. So those are the three modules that Andy's going to be showing you. Any questions so far? All right, we'll go ahead and go forward. And just to let you know that, if the system is a customized system, if a modified system, that's not a problem for us. We can work with those types of systems. And as far as the inventory cycle count, we do integrate with ACS multiband and any major scanning software like ScanCo, ScanForce, and we work well also with JobOps. Okay, so Andy's going to go ahead and dive into the demo. Any questions so far? All right. I'll hand it over to Andy then.
Thank you, Eddie. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today for this presentation. If you have any questions, some of the lines are on the mute. You can unmute yourself by clicking on the mute button on your PowerPoint, on your presentation button. The first product that we're going to be looking at will be automated inventory cycle count. So I'll just start going into the automated inventory cycle count program. As Eddie mentioned, the automated inventory cycle count is one single setup screen that will make the implementation go pretty quickly and very easily. We have this program located under physical count sub-menu under the inventory management. The program integrates into physical count entry program or into the count cart entry program. As you go, schedule your items to be counted throughout the year, and eventually then you can also optionally tell the system where you would like to push those data for the people to verify the counts and enter into the system. We're going to go ahead into the cycle count program, open up the screen. All right, so the first thing that you are going to do when you access to this screen is obviously select the warehouse. This product is built in with the feature that each warehouse can have its own schedule. Each warehouse can have its own time when it generates the cycle counts, and you can designate people to get automatic emails by warehouses as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select the 00 warehouse. As I select the warehouse code here, it loads the data into the middle grid, as you can see. So this is showing us all of the inventory items that are under the 00 warehouse. I can basically go to 001 warehouse, and that also refreshes with the data for that warehouse. So right now I'm at the 00 warehouse. I selected my warehouse code. It loads the data. Here in one screen that we have on the top section is the filtering. That helps us to filter the data so that we can perform updates and update the cycle counts of those items. The middle section is really where you're going to be doing the updates. You're going to tell the system, now I would like the item to be counted 10 times, 1 time, or 2 times throughout the year. And then the bottom of the screen is really where you would see some summary information, and you can perform some updates here as well. I'd like to start talking about the special code that we have called the yearly cycle count. This is a field that we are going to update by item to make the counts automated. When you first set up your screen, I'm going to go to 001 warehouse so you could see all of my items here are categorized as -1. So we're talking about this field, yearly cycle count, which you see on the selection area, and you also see on the grid below in the middle as well. And you also see in the summary section YCC. So -1 is when you first start implementing the system, the items are all going to be categorized as -1. So this tells the user that these items have not been assigned to any category yet. We can quickly put the filter here and say, okay, show me all the items that are -1 if we want to. Then that will refresh and show all the items that are -1. So this is also very helpful when you have already set up your counts, and then now you go back after a month into your schedule and you see that there are items in there with the code of -1. You know that there are new items in the inventory that hasn't been categorized to any count code yet. So I could quickly select -1 here, and then it will refresh the data here for me. I'm going back into now 00 warehouse, and I'm just gonna remove it again. Okay. All right. So we have another special code for yearly cycle count. It's called that number is 0. So 0 means that if I selected the item, I can go and check this checkbox and tell the system that I want to update this to 0. And if I'm updating this item yearly cycle count to 0, I'm telling the system that I reviewed this item and I don't want this item to end up on my cycle count. So I'm explicitly taking this item from my count process. Here we can also quickly click on the grid on the top, and as you can see for the update, it's automatically selecting all of the items that have been filtered from here. I can quickly go here and I say, okay, give me all of the items that I'm going to be counting 3 times, because I have been predefined this already ahead of time. I have 13 items that I'm going to be counting I have 19 items that I'm going to be counting 3 times a year. Here on the summary, that information shows that I have 19 items I'm counting 3 times a year, as you can see down below. Also, I would like to point out your attention to this total section. It says how many records that we have, how many is filtered, and how many is selected. So I can click on the corner. It automatically selects the entire data, or I can just go into a couple of items, select them, and then do bulk update. Instead of these items to be counted 3 times a year, I would like those items to be counted 2 times a year, and I hit the sign button. That will change these items from yearly cycle count code from 3 to 2. Have you guys had any questions? Okay, if you have any questions, you can also send me a chat message here. We can reply to those as we go. Another option of our inventory cycle count program is remaining count. A remaining count is really helpful when you have an item that you're planning to discontinue. If you know that the item is going to get discontinued, you could go and put the remaining count to be 1 or 2 or 3. So basically what you're telling the system is, I would like this item to be counted 2 more times, and then after two more times this item is counted, then I would like this item not to count it anymore in the entire life of the product. So as soon as that, after second time this item ends up into the count sheet, the system will automatically turn this item off, and it will not come into the cycle count anymore. So that when we were saying that this software is also helping to do product life cycle, as you can see from the beginning, when you bring a new item, it goes to -1, and then you put the remaining count and it automatically switches to 0. It's kind of, you can easily see which items are discontinued, which items are still active, and which items you haven't assigned to any category yet. One other feature we have here is force count next time, FCNT. A lot of time you're going to find there are some discrepancies in the warehouse, and you could, the item is going to be counted, let's say 3 months from now, and you don't want to wait for that. You could go and check this checkbox, force count next time. And as you're checking this checkbox, or you can highlight, let's say, a group of items and do it from the bottom below here, force count next time, and all these items all will end up into my cycle count for tomorrow morning. Okay, you can easily also select those entire data and then undo your force count next time flags as well. Another option we have, hold, is a really helpful option. Sometimes you have some issues with the item that you would like to do some investigation and you don't want the cycle count to take place for those items until you're dealing with the vendor or customer, whatever the issues are, and then you can come back and take out from hold, and the system will push that item into the count sheets in the future. I wanted to kind of show you when you finish setting up this entire system based on your count code, it's going to generate this summary count on the bottom portion of the screen that tells us how many items during each day in the morning we're going to be counting. So per my setup now for 00 warehouse, I'm going to be counting 6 items. So these are the totals. 6 items each day, and then we'll finish entering the information and then perform the updates. As all my setups is complete, I have a way of scheduling this task to a job that will run on the background and will generate my cycle counts on a daily basis. So what we need to do after we finish the setup here, we can go to the scheduler, and then on the scheduler we could tell when to run this task. In my setup, I have it to run at 2 a.m. automatically on Monday through Friday, and this will go run on the background, and then in the morning when you go to work, you'll have an email in your mailbox saying what items that you need to count today. We go back into my screen. I will show you an example of how the cycle count email is going to look like when you get on your mailbox. It's a CSV file, but you could easily open up this file with an Excel editor. And here you're going to see the information of what items that you need to count, the bin location, the lot number, when the item was last counted, and the frozen quantity. And you just have to simply put the counts in here. Now, if you have a system that integrates with any kind of warehouse automation system, you will be able to enter the numbers directly from your scanner. So this will be just a list that you need to work on, but you really don't need to go enter the counted quantity in the column here and then go back into the system and do data entry. If you have some sort of a scanning solution, then you could utilize that scanning solution to enter the data into the system. Okay, back to our screen here. We have an exception days that we can plug into the system by warehouse, telling the system to skip those days when it's going to generate the cycle counts. We have an option of manually generating the cycle counts on demand. In this case, I will be using the manual generation process to demonstrate you to the generation process of the cycle counts. I'm going to go into the options screen here. On the options screen, if you would like to stop completely the cycle count program for whatever reason, you could go and change the status from active to inactive, and this will stop the system. It will not generate anymore until you go back and change it to active. We have one feature that is set count quantity to on-hand quantity. When you have this checkbox selected, when we create cycle count inside the physical count data entry, I think I should have some data in here already. As you can see here, this is the standard physical count entry program. When you generate So when the system generates this data into the physical count entry, it automatically copies the quantity over to the next column. So some companies want their employees only to focus on the items that are off and not do any data entry, and they're okay their employees to see what's in the bin location. So this is one way of doing it. And some companies, they do not want the employees to see the actual counts that the system is generating. They just want them to enter for every single item, whatever they counted in that particular location. So that's an option for you. You could either turn on or turn off. In my case, it's turn on. That's why it copied from one place to another place. So basically, the counted quantity is the same as quantity on hand. But you can obviously overwrite this. So that's this option. We have an option of include zero quantity on hand items if you would like. If it's a time for that item to be counted, and that item shows 0, do you want to verify that 0 or not? So it's an option you can turn on and off. Roll over YCC count from large to small. This is a very nice option in terms of making your warehouse employees always busy in the morning doing the count. So like when you have A items are probably going to be counted pretty quickly, and then when you're done counting with A items, then now with that option on, you're telling the system that you need to pull more items to be counted daily from the category B. And then if you're done with the B as well, go down to category C and on and on. So this way you're kind of forcing them to maintain the number of items that they need to count each day. Going back into the options screen, here we have two different options that we can say where do we want to generate into. We want to generate the cycle count into the physical count entry program, or we would like to send it to the count cart entry program. And if you select physical count entry program, then there's another option that you would like to insert to the existing one or not. So if this checkbox is not checked, let's say now I've got some data into my physical count data entry. As I go and try to generate a new one, I'm going to get an email to me and warning message that there is already one out there. Are you sure you want to create new one? So this way you know that there is one out there. Maybe you forgot to update from yesterday, and you can go and take care of that first one. Then you can go and generate again. So the system will give you those warnings. The email option, you have a place where you can put the email recipients, multiple people here. And there are some other options as far as do you want them to see the frozen quantity or not, the item status, and extended description. So if you check those when it sends out an email, it will include that information into the email. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll continue demonstration process. Okay. Quickly here, that a lot of people are asking, okay, how can we sort the data? So this grid is has the ability that you can click on the column of each grid cell, and it's going to sort by that cell. So if I'm sorting by the cost, it automatically refreshes and sorting the grid by the cost. So if I would like to say, okay, give me the items, for example, that are the cost is greater than $1,000, I will be able to enter this information and then hit enter. And these are my items that are over $1,000. And then I will be able to click on that and quickly assign them into the category. One of them is I'm just going to assign to be counted 5 times a year. So just wanted to demonstrate another easy feature of finding an item into your items list and then assigning them. It's always good to look into this section here. It tells you how many records you filtered out of your total number of records and how many you have selected that the update is going to take place. So these are all helpful options that here that we kind of going to be able to see it. As I'm done already with the assigning into my categories, I'm ready to move into the manual generation process. You typically will not click on this button. This is just mainly for the demonstration purposes and also like on demand if you need to run it. So if I click on manual generation now, I'm not going to save this data. It's going to say, do you want to generate into 00 warehouse? If I say yes, I should be getting a warning message, and at the same time an email is being sent to me as well that the physical count for warehouse 00 already exists. The generation process has been interrupted. That basically because on my options I told them do not insert into the existing one. So in other words, give me a warning. Don't go forward with that process. Here, because I had this program that already loaded with the data. So if I go into physical count worksheet and I can clear this data quickly. Clear frozen items. Preview. Okay, so now I go back into my physical count entry. I select the warehouse 00, and this is empty right now. And I'll go back into my cycle count, and I push the manual generation. Say yes on the confirmation. So now it's going to be sending the data to my cycle count. It will at the same time send an email to me saying that the cycle count has been generated for you. And then when we go back into the cycle count entry program and we bring up this program and we select the 00 warehouse, then we will see the items that are in the list that needs to be counted today. And as I go and update these items, it will record the last count date for the item itself. Next time by warehouse code, and next time when you do run, then we have to kind of go and generate that as well.
Any questions so far?
Okay. No questions. Then we can go ahead and start looking at the availability by date enhancement. That program is located under the sales order module. It's built into the sales order program itself, but you could also run it from the menu. I'll show that as well. Sales order availability, stock availability by date. So I'm going to bring up an order here. So I go to the line. As I'm entering an item, I have an option here called the stock availability by date, and I click on that. It's going to open up a grid view data and screen. It's a read-only tool that shows you stock availability by date. As you can see here, we have a start date and end date that the interval that we're looking at. We have the warehouses listed here. Next to the warehouse code, we have how many we have in that warehouse as a starting point when we go to the screen. And by each warehouse, then you have the date and the quantities available. So when I click on the one that says 2729, over here in the little window, we see all the orders and the purchase orders that are affecting this availability. Now the next column here is 626. If I click on 626, I'll be able to see that from 625 to 626, I have one receipt of goods that we need to receive that date, and that's going to bring my availability to 2,731. I have an option of going and changing my date and refreshing my data. As you can see, my grid will go to the right, and we'll have more dates in here, and we'll be able to see the inventory by different warehouses. On the right side, we show the order that we drill into from, that we have 7 pieces in our order itself. And if I go back, if I go back into this program and I change the quantity, let's say to 3,000 pieces, and then I jump up that field, we have an option here called stock availability by date. Instead of back ordering, we could look into this stock availability by date and open up that screen again. But now it's the colors has changed here. Now you could see that the data that's showing in a red color, meaning that we will not be able to fulfill this order even near future, or in my case on the 626. I won't be able even to fulfill on the 710, whatever the date is here. But on the warehouse 097, I will be able to fulfill from this warehouse. So I have an option of selecting that warehouse and changing the order to that warehouse. Another nice option we have as well here, like when you click on it, the sales order or purchase order, you can quickly drill down into that transaction and look into the detail. On the options program of the sales order, we're going to be telling the system, let me bring up the setup options, as of what field do we want to use that. Okay, so if we go over here, we have calculate stock availability based on the ship date or promise date. So we're telling the system, when we go to this screen, it calculates the availability. Do you want that calculation to take place based on the line item promise date, or take the date, promise date from here, or to take the date from the sales order header and do the calculation? Any questions so far? I want to also mention about this software in terms of, this is a pretty good enhancement for the purchasing agent. If they are planning to order an item, they can come to the menu. They don't have to go to the sales order. They can come into the main menu of the sales order module and then access stock availability by date. It's basically the same screen, but now I have an option of selecting any item I would like to see by date and click the proceed button. It populates the data back and forth. I can change the date to, let's say, go back and we'll move forward, to, depending on what date interval that you're selecting, and you see the data in there as well. And you can click on each one of those days and see the transactions. So it's kind of a helpful tool for both your sales team, your purchasing team, and also, to be honest, to your entire organization. Everybody who's dealing with the inventory, they can quickly go there and see what's the next ETA that we're expecting to receive on a given warehouse for a given item by date, and that will clearly show that information to you when you get into the screen. Any questions so far? All right, I'm going to move into the third product, Order Fulfillment Manager, and now we're going to see that as well. For that, I need to switch. To switch my system. right, so what's the Order Fulfillment Manager is going to do for us? The Order Fulfillment Manager is designed to close the gap between the front office and the warehouse. That's the main goal of this software. It allows you to see true visibility as far as who's working in the warehouse on a given order at any time if you want to check it. You have a way of placing the order in a queue, and the system will print the pick ticket on demand on the warehouse when the puller is ready to fulfill the next order from the queue. That Order Fulfillment Manager is basically programmed on the sales order. We have a button that's showing the queue of the order, and we also have a checkbox add to the queue. So in this case, if you would be using this program, your office customer service and the office personnel, they don't really need to print the pick ticket. A lot of our customers are telling us, okay, we're printing the pick ticket directly to the warehouse printer. Yes, great. And I've been asking them question, isn't that sometimes the paper jam or some sort of a printer issue, you have no visibility, did it print in there or not, and you have no visibility who has the order at any given time. So sometimes you have to page the warehouse to find out who's working on that order. Maybe the person who's working on the order is at lunch, and it's going to be hard to find out who's working on that order, and the customer needs one more item to be added to their order. So this will give you the full visibility who's working on that order at any given time. So now that if I go back into my queue screen from the order, I could see that I have two warehouses in my order, and I push this order into the queue on this date. So this tells me that the order is still sitting in the queue. Nobody has worked on that order yet, since it doesn't show the assigned user and the assigned user action time in this two fields are kind of empty. That tells me that it hasn't been assigned to anybody yet. So after you enter the order, when that order is ready to be fulfilled, the only thing that you need to do is click add to the queue checkbox. So we have this new checkbox on the bottom of the screen. Once we click on that, that automatically goes to the queue. So in the warehouse, we're going to have this program running all the time. This will show them the list of the orders that are in the queue that needs to be fulfilled. If you have multiple companies, you can combine the queues together. There are some companies that they're running multiple companies under Sage 100 ERP, and they share the warehouse, and the same pullers are working into those orders. So you have an option of combining the companies together as a company code. That option is set up. That option is available here, Combine Queue. As soon as I click on this option and accept this, it's going to basically not let me to change the company if I want to change the company to fulfill the order. Some of the options here, we have a maximum number of orders. So this is really interesting option. When a warehouse, when the puller goes and gets the order from the queue, you want them to, you don't want them to go and get all the orders from the queue, and then the next person goes and tries to get the order. There's nothing left in the queue. So you want to have some sort of a limit, so that when they already got, in this option we're saying the maximum number of orders, 10. So if they try to print the 11th order from the queue, the system is going to stop that, and it's going to say, okay, you have already 10 orders. Please go fulfill those orders first before you go back and get the new order from the queue. So this way you're trying to make sure your packing lines are not waiting for the pullers, and they're actually processing the order as they come into the queue, and they don't have those orders with them all the time if they're not going to fulfill right away. So same type of feature is available for the lines as well. Maybe you have one big order that has more than 10 lines, and you don't want them to go start working on the next order. So you just want them to get that order and work on that, then go to the next one. Here we have a way of how we would like to take out the orders from the queue. In other words, how you would like to sort and print from the queue. So either by the first sorting will be by ship via, for example. On the ship via, we have a code that says the priority. Like if it's a FedEx ground or FedEx next day, you want the FedEx next day to print first before the FedEx ground. Then that will be something that you can do it. And at the same time, after you select that, then it's going to do by the queue create and the create date and time. So now that being said, is if you select this way, then the orders are going to go in and out per your setup. And this setup is something that warehouse employees will not have access to it. It's a security. There's a security event for that purpose. So you, as the manager, will set up these options and leave it in there. And the warehouse employees, the pullers, just have to come to this program and click the next order from the queue. Give me the next order from the queue. We have an option of grouping the orders by the sales order. If you have a company that you have multiple warehouses, but you would like to create one big ticket for all the warehouses, then you can combine them together. You can activate and you can enable and disable the warehouses in a given location if you want to. Because if you have multiple locations, you may have this screen running on. If you have an office, if you have a warehouse in California and Florida, you may want to have two different screens that you could actually put this up in there and quickly reroute the order to Florida office or the California office warehouse fulfillment center. So it's pretty flexible as far as what company, what warehouse you would like to see when you're pulling the orders. So the puller's job really is to come to this screen and tell the system print next from the queue. And as they click on that, the system is going to ask them to provide their user ID. So these user IDs are from the system, and I can select any user ID. If I'm AG user, I'll select the AG and click OK. And then it's going to go through the printing process, obviously. And I'm going to be printing and saving my pick sheet. And it's going to come back and ask for the confirmation to see if the order has been successfully printed. Do you want to assign the sales order 185 to AG user? I can say yes. I can say no, or print next one. So print next one means that you're accepting and going into the next one. So you are getting the next order from the queue. So in this case, I'm going to say yes, and we'll go back. The 185 is disappeared from my queue automatically because it has been assigned to that new puller that we just run. And going back into the sales order screen, and let's bring up the order 185. And if I go to 185, I'm going to go back into the sales order into screen. I don't know what happened there. Maybe that was from another company. Yeah, that was from another company. 185 was from another company. Yeah, these are all from the ABC company. I just have to switch to ABC. Okay, so this is 185, sales order 185. Now going back into the queue button, I'm in the front office and the customer calls me and is trying to find out the status of the order. Then you can go in here and you can say, okay, your pick ticket has been assigned to this user on this date in the warehouse. They're working on it right now. Your order should be out of the door in the next couple of hours. So it gives you the full visibility from the front office to the back office, who's working on it, and on and on. Any questions so far regarding this enhancement?
Okay. So those are the three products that make up our advanced distribution suite. Here's the time to ask all your questions that you might have about any one of those three products. I guess Andy did a terrific job of explaining the products, so we appreciate that. So feel free to reach out to us with any other questions that you may have. Most of you guys should have my email address. I sent you guys the invitation for it. So I'll let us sit for one more minute here, see if any other questions.
Right. Yeah, we see some of the lines are muted. If you have any questions, please unmute the line. And
with the cycle count, it takes and dumps that information into the physical count entry screen. Now, you have to have everybody off of the system before you can update that, correct?
No, not necessarily. That process is going to take place, I'm assuming in the morning, early in the morning at 2 a.m. To update that, you don't have to have people out of the system to update it.
Oh, really? Because when we did our last physical count, it wouldn't even allow you to print the variance register if anybody else was logged on to the system.
What version are you in?
We're on 4.5 currently.
If the people are accessing that item, it might be, but if they're not using that item, you should be able to update that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, some people are asking about the pricing. We're going to go to the pricing now, if you don't have any questions.
Any other product questions? Don't be shy now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move into the pricing of the product. Obviously it's a suite of products, but we can sell them individually. So here's the individual pricing here, $1,950 for the one warehouse, and then each additional warehouse will be $500. Of course, you buy it in the suite, it'd be $400. The stock availability by date, $1,250 for one company, additional companies $500, and then the order fulfillment manager is $1,750 for one warehouse, additional warehouse is $500, and that's individual. We do have, was that a question? Okay.
Oh, there was no question. Yeah, one thing we would like to mention as well, regarding the stock availability by date, in the next version release, we're planning to make that accessible via web as well. Like if you have any web presence and you would like to have that data to show to your dealers by date or your customers, and that will be something available as well for the future releases, where they can actually use web APIs to get the data out of the Sage and put it into the website and show the people their availability by date if there's any need. Not necessarily all the quantities, but you may do also color coding as well. So now going back to the pricing, it can continue, please.
Yeah. So the bundle pricing with all three of those modules together are it's a savings. So it's $4,450, then $400 for each additional warehouse. By September, if you buy it before September 15th, you get a promotional discount for the whole suite of $39.50 and $350 for each additional warehouse. So that's quite a deal. So you know, please reach out to me. Let me know if you guys wanted a quote, and we go ahead and get that over to you.
There was some sort of a chat that I'm going to open up.
Okay, so we have a chat question here.
Okay, people. Jeff is asking what training options is available to for this product. Yeah, when we sell this enhancement, we usually put training hours in there as well, and the automated inventory cycle count, it seems like usually within a couple of hours, the person will be really, like a couple of hours will be more than enough to kind of train the warehouse person to go through it and make the updates. And availability by date, it's pretty straightforward and intuitive. As soon as you install it, it's going to work as long as your dates are accurate on the sales order and the PO. So that's pretty straightforward. There isn't really much training about that. Order fulfillment manager, to implement it and train it, well, I'm envisioning about 8 hours of a job to make sure that the people understand when they're placing an order into the queue and taking out of the queue and how all that thing works. Did I answer to your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, so we're running, we have about 4 minutes left on the webinar. Any other questions that you guys might have? So again, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. And again, feel free to reach out to me with any other questions or if you guys wanted quotes. All right, again, thanks for joining us. We hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.